Good morning, everyone, or good night. I'm in quarantine and I've not been feeling too well. So I thought that one of the forms of escapism that I can use is to record a video and upload it online. Um, my name is Eugene. This is not my first video on YouTube, but first on this channel, I guess. But I just came back from back home in Ukraine to Tokyo, where I go to school at. I'm a first year student, and I'm in 2-week quarantine, and it's the beginning of 2022. And I wanted to talk about being alone because I've been alone for quite a long time, and I'm really, really used to being alone. But after being home for 3 weeks and coming back to my normal life here in Tokyo, the city which I used to love a lot, but suddenly nothing really makes me feel happy about it anymore. And just this feeling of when you're really sure about something, that you're sure what you're doing and you're sure that you're on the right way or whatever, and suddenly you feel it's all bullshit and nothing. And it's quite a new feeling to me. So I thought that maybe if I'll record what I think and somebody might find it, they might feel better. Because I wish I could see some video like that right now. But yeah, I want to tell a story of how I got here. I used to go to school in England. I'm originally from Ukraine, and I used to live in a really small city called Cambridge, and I studied fashion design and blah blah blah. And before I went to UK, I went for a trip to Tokyo for about 1 month to a language school, and I did not expect how much I would love it and how much I would want to come back here. So through being extremely depressed in Cambridge and hating everything I do and thinking it was probably the last year of my life and I wouldn't be able to push any further, I was desperately trying to find a way how to change my life in a very drastic way, to kind of restart in a way. So I tried convincing my parents going to Tokyo and dropping out of school and learning the language and starting school again, and they were extremely against it, but I ended up convincing them. I know it might not be really relatable to a lot of people, but that's the way it was. And I moved to Tokyo and I was really, really happy for a long time, for about until just recently, I guess. Of course I had ups and downs, but generally speaking, I felt like I was in the place that I was supposed to be, and everything I was doing was helping me to grow and move further and further, and lots of things made me excited. So I went to language school, I learned Japanese, I got to my dream university and stuff. And now I'm finishing my first year at university, and I don't know, suddenly I feel like I'm back to that time or headspace that I was back in Cambridge, and it's fucking terrifying, not gonna lie, because you come such a long way and you do so many things to get here, and you still end up in the same place that you used to be, like the worst place to be. So currently I'm feeling like I want to escape again, and I want to go somewhere or not live the life that I'm living right now, which is not the best place to be in. And of course, I understand that I'm very, very privileged in this way to be here and to live the life I'm living. And lots of people maybe dream of such life as I'm living, but problems shouldn't be compared, and all problems are valid, in my opinion. So being alone, when I moved to Tokyo, I didn't really have any friends for a really, really long time. I think for about a year or so, I had 0 friends. I used to hang out just a little bit with my classmates, but I never really felt like I was friends with anyone. It felt like just casual acquaintances, but nothing like it was back home. So I didn't feel well. I even went to therapy at some point because, this feeling of loneliness was kind of eating me from inside out, but I still didn't feel like I was unhappy and I wanted to go home. It just, I wanted to figure it out. And I did figure it out by slowly learning to love being alone, and pandemic helped me a lot with it because my school stopped and I didn't have school for like 4 months and everything was closed. So I basically stayed at home for like 2 months and not leaving it almost at all, only to get groceries and stuff, but seeing absolutely no one. And in that time, I really fell in love with being alone. Like, actually, not even exaggerating. Like, I felt like being alone was the best state to be in. And on the other hand, hanging out with people became too stressful to me. And I kind of became antisocial at some point, and I just chose not to see anyone and being alone. And I couldn't go home back to Ukraine for a year and a half. So all my communication was basically online with my parents and friends back home, which I'm really grateful for because they saved me in a lot of ways. But then I met my best friend, who I'm still friends with. Sorry, Siri turned on. Who I'm still best friends with. And
どうお答えしたらいいのかわかりません。
I'm sorry. Where was I? But then I met my best friend and we started hanging out and I started dating a few people and my life felt a little bit more social again. And I thought I found quite a balance between these two. And then last summer, I met someone and I fell in love, and it ended up being destroyed really, really fast because the timing was really, really bad. Like, we met just before I was supposed to go back home for summer holidays for the first time in a really long time. So I got heartbroken, my first heartbreak in life, and I went back home, and it was the worst summer in my life. And it made me extremely vulnerable and emotional, more than usual. So I developed this feeling. I think someone who went through a heartbreak knows what I'm talking about, this feeling of numbness, as if, you're still doing stuff and enjoying stuff, but actually you're numb, like extremely numb, and something is like choking you from inside out at all times. So it was my summer, and even though I did lots of really exciting things, I still felt like, nothing had really mattered because I was hurting that much. I don't think I was even hurting, I just didn't feel anything. It was like complete numbness, and it made me extremely, extremely emotional. So after that summer, I became much more vulnerable, and I used to be a person who never cried of real life things. I like crying when watching movies, but from real things I never cried. But suddenly, for some reason, I started crying about everything, like every little thing, or not even a thing, just something made me cry. And it's weird for a person who doesn't cry. It's really weird. And then I started having a hard time breathing, and as if I cannot properly take a breath. And it was with me for around 3 months, and then I started having tics. I mean, tics when you move, your face moves uncontrollably. So it was all aftermath of a heartbreak. So yeah, it just like changed lots of things suddenly. And I went back to Tokyo after summer break, and then winter break came, and I was able to go home again for 3 weeks, and I did. And I was scared because I thought that I will go home and everything will remind me of that summer, and it did in the first few days. But after that, it ended up being the best winter holidays ever. Like best home vacation ever. And I felt really, really happy and calm, and like nothing really bothered me. And I went to see a doctor 3 times about my breathing problems, not like a regular doctor. It's called osteopatholog. Wait. Wait. Osteopath. It's called osteopath in Russian. I'll translate it and put it somewhere here. So basically, this doctor like moves stuff inside of your body and your bones and your organs, so puts everything in place, so all these things that is stuck in your body will just go out. And I mean, not literally go out, just like all the stress and all the bad feelings and everything. And obviously I felt quite skeptical about it, but it did work, and it's the best thing ever. I was really surprised how well it worked. So I was able to breathe again, and my tics more or less stopped. And I felt like, oh my god, I finally am over it, and my heartbreak and everything, and life is back to normal again. And then my vacation ended, and it was time to go back to another home, which is in Tokyo. And I flew back, and honestly, I haven't felt this upset, or I'm not sure if I can even call it upset. It's more of like extremely lost. It's like 2022, and I suddenly feel like I have absolutely zero idea what I'm doing now and what I will be doing next, or what I should feel like, or where I should live, or what should I aspire, like as if I went back to zero or something. And I used to be in this place before, and it's the worst place because, you know, everything just stops giving you joy, and you basically just, your like spectrum of feelings becomes really, really small. And you know, I have no idea yet how to overcome it, but I'm usually a quite depressing person. I mean, I fall into these pit holes quite a lot, but with time I learned what things work for me to kind of get out of them as quickly as I can. And lots of things worked for me, you know, I don't know, like sleeping. For example, sleeping is my form of escapism, which I use the most. Like if I'm feeling like really, really not even down, like anxious, down, or like panicking or something, I just go straight to sleep as fast as I can, because before I sleep I kind of daydream a lot and think about stuff that doesn't exist, good stuff, and I fall asleep, and then I see real dreams and stuff. So it kind of like knocks me out. I knock myself out of reality for some time, and it really helps. It really, really helps. But you know, when you find thing that helps you to kind of get out of those upsetting times or depressive states, in time you get used to them and it stops working. And currently I found that it stopped working for me, and it is really, really scary when it stops, because when you have no tools to help you cope, you suddenly feel really, really, you know, like there is nothing you can do. And when you feel like there is nothing you can do, you know, you just feel like there is nothing next. And you know, I'm talking about all of it and I'm still smiling and stuff, but in reality I don't really feel that much in the moment. And this is the worst thing, because I'd prefer feeling upset, or you know, feel at least something, but not just nothing. And when you feel nothing mentally, you start feeling things much more strongly in your body. Like you start finding that lots of things make you sick. For example, almost all foods now make me sick. Like anything I eat just makes me sick, and I just stop eating that much because all of my physical feelings are exaggerated because of my mental feelings are currently not intact. And about therapy, you know, people always tell, like, go to therapy, try therapy. And when you do try therapy and you realize that it helps you, at some point you realize that nothing that you do that makes you feel better is actually valid in a way, because you always come back from where you came from. Like, your life is a constant cycle of figuring out stuff and then being clueless again, feeling better and then feeling bad again, and stuff, and goes on. And a person like me who doesn't really find any meaning in anything in life, in my paradigm of reality, we just started as a species on a complete accident, and universe also emerged from nowhere on a complete accident. Like it just appeared. There is nothing more to it, you know. A concept of question and answer is a very humanly concept, or beginning and an end and stuff like that. So, you know, at some point I started feeling like humans are almost animals, like overly evolutionized animals. Like, you know, our evolution couldn't stop at the right time when we could think like animals and, like, you know, live off of our instincts, but we evolutioned too much, and now we have our complex brains that makes us feel all kinds of stuff, and, you know, makes us think of what is existing and meaning and stuff like that. Like basically being a human cult. And, you know, I also watched Don't Look Up, and this movie is really upsetting to me. You know, we have a saying in Russian, это было бы смешно, если бы не было бы так грустно. It would have been funny if it wasn't that sad. And this movie is really funny, but I found it mostly just really, really sad because, you know, it's just very realistic. You just don't want to believe it, you know, how realistic it is. And it made me, again, feel very, very confused and stuff. So this morning I talked to my friend over FaceTime about all kinds of stuff, and, you know, when I talked to her, I kind of forgot about all the things that I've been thinking myself. So when we stopped talking, I went right back to the state I was before talking to her. So I decided to go for a run in the morning to kind of, you know, distract myself. And I did, and it made me feel really sick physically, even though I love running usually. I'm quite good at running actually, but it made me sick, and I decided to record this video, you know. Just, there's no goal in it, I guess. Just lots of feelings that I'm feeling right now, which are really, really confusing. And I don't think that anything could help, because I feel like I should create some illusion of in which way I should see my life or existing in general to kind of feel less scared and confused. Because, you know, for example, if I believed in God and heaven and hell, like actually believed in it, obviously I wouldn't be as confused, because, you know, you believe in something and you're sure about something, you know. But when you believe in nothing, absolutely nothing, it's really, really complicated, because it's really hard to create an illusion that helps you feel like something that you do has any meaning to it. So yeah, it's kind of like that. So this video is just about, and if you saw it and you found that you felt something really similar. I would be happy to talk or discuss something down in the comments if you'd feel like you'd want to talk to someone. So yeah, I guess I hate when people say it, but you're not alone. And I'm telling it not only to you, but also to myself that I'm not alone. And yeah, we'll see if it gets better. Maybe it doesn't. But yeah, thank you for watching, if you watched all of it. And I hope you felt a little bit better. Bye.